Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well this morning. Sorry, I'm late. I'm always late. I aim for 9 o'clock, and it's usually about 9:15, but I'm really late this morning, so sorry about that. Excuse me. Trying to get everything together that I wanted to talk about, and um, so anyway, sorry I'm late. I hope you're all well this morning. Hope you had a nice weekend. We had a nice weekend, but kind of a sad weekend. Granny's brother Lucky passed away last night. So that's been sad, of course, most of all for his family. He has three girls, great daughters, and his wife. It's really, really sad for them, and sad for Granny too, though, and for all of us and all his nieces and nephews and um, cousins and things like that, of course. But I especially would ask you to pray for his daughters and his wife and his grandchildren, all of his immediate family, his sons-in-laws, all of them. Pray for them and pray for Granny. Granny's awful sad. She's been worrying about him and going to visit him as much as she could, trying to take him food that he would eat and trying to encourage him. But he did pass away last night. So I thank you for everybody that prayed for him. And I know you'll pray for his family and for Granny. So I thank you for that too. Granny is the only one left. She's the only one left of her family. So she was the third from the bottom. Lucky was the baby. He was the youngest. And there was 11 children. Of course, her mother and father's been gone a long time, but 11 children, and 9 of them lived to adulthood. And so Granny is the only one of them left now, which I know for her is sad. She was really, really worried about Lucky and wanting him to pull through. But I appreciate your prayers. And it would be a strange feeling to be the only one left. I know a lot of you have shared that with me, that you're the only one left of your family. I had a dear friend, Kenneth Roper, and he used to tell me that because he really loved his family, his brothers and his mother and father, and he just really mourned all of them, losing them. And he'd tell me, Tipper, I'm the last of the Mohicans in my family. I'm the last one here. So that would be a funny feeling. And I've lost Pap, so I understand what it feels like to lose a parent. And but that's the way you think in our minds. It's not the way it always happens, but we think that's the order that it should go in. But I can't imagine losing Paul or Steve, my brothers. I just can't imagine. And Granny's lost all her siblings now. So she's went through that over and over, losing them. So really sad, but there's lots of sad things in the world too, I know. But I will appreciate it if you can say a prayer for Lucky's family, especially, and they're going to grieve and miss him, and they loved him dearly. He was a good man and really a good family man, and I know they're really going to miss him. So please pray for them and pray for Granny too. Pray for Granny too. Other than that, we did have a nice weekend. We were able to have friends over on Saturday and got to spend time with them that we hadn't seen in a long time. So that was very, very nice. They brought us some milk from their cows, so that was delicious. That was good, and we just had a lot of fellowship together, and that was really, really nice to get to spend time with them. This morning it's raining. I don't know if it's raining at your house, so our little bits of snow that's here and there, I guess, will be washed away by the rain. But I woke up to it this morning. I could hear it. I leave mine and Matt's window open about that much for the fresh air, and I could hear it raining as soon as I woke up. Hear it really. It's a strange sound when you hadn't heard it. When you're just waking up in the morning, you're like, "What is that? What is that water? Oh, that's rain." So it's raining today, and I think we're supposed to be warmer this week or more. It's not that we're going to be that warm. I guess we're going to be more like normal temperatures instead of that bitter cold that's been in so many different places. And so it's time, I guess. I'm still hoping for a big snow, though. You all know that. Everybody that watches knows that I'm still hoping for one more big snow at least, so that I can go sledding and maybe make some snow cream. This last snow wasn't really big enough I like for the snow cream to be out of the big, at least 6, 7, 8 inches, something like that. So anyway, maybe I'll be able to do that before winter's over. But we are already thinking about spring. So the cabbage plants that I started last week. They're a few of them I noticed this morning are up, just tiny little sticking their little heads up. So that's exciting. That's our first step towards that. So that's really exciting. And I do have, a lot of you've still been asking, I do have the calendars this year, the almanac calendars, and they're in our Etsy shop. I can leave a link. But also, I would encourage you to look around in your area, and there may be somebody giving them away for free. Maybe your bank or a funeral home here gives them away. Of course, feed stores is a good place to get them, think places like that. So you could look there for sure. But I'll add this link because it's getting to be that time of the year. You start thinking about planting. And I'll add a few more links. I still don't have any egg separators or mugs, but hopefully we'll be having them soon. But you can find all of our other CDs and our cookbooks and that calendar, our cookbook. Well, there is 2 cookbooks. There's an e-cookbook and then the cookbook in there. That's our Etsy store, and that's where the mugs and the egg separators would be when I get some more. And then there's our merch store, just where you can buy, if you want to buy a shirt that says Celebrating Appalachia, or a coffee cup, or a bag, or a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, all kinds of things in there. You can check that out. I really enjoyed Paul's songs that he shared last week. They were really, one of them he filmed during our snow. He was so smart to think about that. So one of them is When It's Springtime in Alaska. That was the old-timey song from last week. And if you watch read The Blind Pig and the Acorn, then I shared that yesterday and shared all of Paul's thoughts about it. But if you go watch the video, then if you look in the description, you can read his thoughts about it, and really interesting information about Johnny Horton. If you're like me, you hear that name, immediately what comes to mind is North to Alaska, is that song, which I love. I love that song. But it's really interesting, some things, backstories that Paul shared about it. And I didn't know, or if I did, I'd forgot, that Pap actually seen him perform way back in the 50s, and when he was in California, and he was just playing on the back of a trailer at I think Paul said a grocery store. You could go read it. But I thought that was really interesting. If I knew that, I'd forgotten it, that Pap had got to see him perform. And of course, Johnny Horton, he passed away very young. But he was an amazing, amazing singer. And then for the other one that's original that Paul's been doing, he shared, a lot of you have been with us for a long time. You remember Josh Griggs. I did an interview with him. He's a real character. For that interview, he wore his blue seersucker suit. He's just one of a kind, Josh is, but a dear, dear family friend. And in this one, Paul and Josh plays the piano, and then our friend Caleb and Paul play get their guitars, but they sing the Living in Canaan Now. If you grew up in church, you've probably heard that song. But Josh's I think it's his great grandfather wrote that song. And but you can go over there and listen to the story behind the song, written by Claude Center, and really interesting. And great song too. Besides that. So let me add that link there. And I'll add all these links in the description below too as well. So those songs I really enjoyed both of those. And it was good to hear from Josh and hear him talking about the history of that song. So that was really, really nice. A lot of folks have been sending me stuff about the continued devastation in Western North Carolina, East Tennessee, and different places. So I'm going to share some of those with you, some of the links and some of the videos, and you may have already seen some of them, but I want to highlight them. And of course, I encourage people to continue to pray for all those people that are still facing just such enormous obstacles in their way of rebuilding their home, of figuring out if they can rebuild their home, of getting the insurance money, of all those things, all those hurdles that they've got to jump through. Please just continue to remember them. Of course, the people that lost loved ones, and the people that are working so hard to help them in lots of different ways, from building those roads back to the bridges to the people supplying aid, and just really pray for all of them. In the same way, please continue to remember the people in California too that are suffering from the fires. And I say anybody else too, that's a wonderful thing. If you're a believer, God's a mighty God. He can help everybody on the face of the earth at the same time and never break a sweat, as we would say. It's not a hard thing for him to do, but please remember them. And one of them, one of you made me aware of this, was I'd never heard of this channel before, but Vice Grip Garage has a video, 1,000-mile road trip to the naval tail of the Dragon and snowstorms. But you're thinking, well, that ain't nothing to do with the storms, Tipper, but it really is. If you go and watch it, you can go there and see. And he's having a fundraiser. And I looked right before I started the live, and he's trying to get, I think, $150,000, and he's up to over 100,000. So please go and watch that video. He explains and talks about it, and plus it's a great video. I'm not very knowledgeable about cars, but I do like old cars, so I enjoyed his trip and seeing that. And thank you so much for sharing that one with me. And this is one from Katie shared this one with me. Carolina air shots, Arctic freeze hits Helene and survivors in Western North Carolina sheltering in a pasture. And if you go to it and watch it, you can see some of the things that people are going through. But also in the description of that video, actually in the description of all these videos, there's information about how they're raising money to help those specific situations. So that's that one. My friend that shared so much stuff about the storm from the very beginning and resources for people who was affected by the storm shared this with me. And I'd actually heard about it from Matt's aunt, but I didn't know how to find out details about it. So this is a resource for anyone that lives in those areas. Specifically, though, it's Haywood County, but they've got a program where they're going to pay people to go out and clean up the debris, and because there's people out of work that lost their jobs, places that, businesses that went out, they went under, they can't, got washed away, all those things. So they're going to pay people to actually clean up, and they're paying them like $25 an hour. And you can go to that link and read more about it. But it's like, if you can only work part-time, then that's okay. If you can work full-time, that's okay. It's kind of like you can just do what you need to do once you're approved, of course, to work. And I'm sure they've got, you would need to be in good shape to be able to do that, to get down in the rivers and walk. And I'm sure it'd be very labor intensive. And that was actually how I'd heard about it. Aunt St. Wanda, she told me, she said, if I was able, this was, I guess at Christmas, told me she must have heard about it was coming or something, but said, if I was able, I would do that, but I'm just not able. But she was just saying that would be really great to help the community. But then that was, you'd be making good money too. So you can find out more though about that at that link if you're in that area and might be interested in that, or maybe someone who is. This is I think Katie learned about this from Wayne. I'm going to share Wayne's information here in a minute, but this is a B-Log, North Carolina, Western North Carolina. And this is an Amazon list where you can just go and see the things that they need and purchase them, and they will ship them right to them. And that's really, really great way to do it. And you don't have to worry about how to get them there, or, they'll just show up, and you can see and kind of pick and choose what you want. I think those are really great to use. This is Wayne's channel, and he's continuing to help and to take supplies. They have that wonderful program. All the network that he's working with have that wonderful program where they're helping specific families. And I shared last week, some of them are starting to say, I'm good. Thank you. You've helped me. Praise you. Praise the Lord, and praise the Lord for sending you all to me, and all of you who've donated and helped. I know lots and lots of you have. So that's him. And then let's see. This is I think this is the website for the organization, the network of organizations where you can go and find out more about donating and to those individual families or to their funds or whatever it is that you'd like to do. The Appalachian Navy, he's connected with Bud, he's connected with Wayne and is part of that organization. And so there's his channel. You can check out his videos. He updates very regularly about what's going on and the people that he's helping and the things that are happening right there. And then also, let's see, I went too far down my list. John Ward is continuing to share information about it. And here's one of his latest videos about the Hope Village, an amazing place. And then in that video too, in the description, if you look in the description, there is information about how to donate if you wanted to help the Hope Village. A really heartwarming video that John did there. So make sure that you can see that. Seems like there's, oh, I know, I was thinking there's something else I was supposed to say, but it's on my phone that Katie's told me, and this was from Bud from the Appalachian Navy. So it's like a little flyer. I can't really have it here, but I will link to, if Katie and Corey have shared it, or if Bud has shared it, I'll link to that I don't have it right now, but I'll link to it. But it just says, share the warmth, spread the love this Valentine's Day. Give the gift of warmth to those in Western North Carolina still dealing with the impacts of Helene. Prince Gas of Landrum, South Carolina, is playing a key and generous role in this effort by providing a discounted rate for this initiative. It's easy to do, just $10 for a tank refill or $50 for a new tank and a refill. How it works: contact Prince Gas at 364 no, that's wrong. Let me start over. I better increase the font on my phone. I'm telling the wrong phone number. Contact Prince Gas at 864-473-5168 and reference account number 111255. Provide your name as the gift giver and a credit card for payment. The Flat Rock Bethel Wesleyan Church is involved in the tank transfers to and from several hubs in the mountains. The Appalachian Navy delivers them, so Bud delivers them. Please share this program with anyone you think might help. And I see a little QR code down there, so there is a link to it. So I'll put that in the description below after this video, after this is over. I will do that. And I'll type out those numbers for you too and everything. So that's really great. So that's another way. Of course, winter's not over, even though we've warmed up a little bit. It's still cold. I'm sitting by the wood stove. You still need heat. So they're still going to need that. So please continue to help where you can, and most of all to pray for them. Pray in every way you can. It's really important. Trying to make sure if anything else I was supposed to say about that. I think we're ready for the wisdom from the comments. So I think before that though, before we do the wisdom, there's one thing I want to read to you. Now, again, if you watch if you read The Blind Pig and the Acorn, you've already heard this, but I think it's enjoyable. Lovely poem about kind of enjoying things in life and noticing the little thing. Okay, somebody's telling me, let's see. My computer's telling me my connection is unstable, so I hope I didn't just disappear on all of you. Okay, hopefully I'm still here. I just had some kind of warning and said your connection is unstable, so I hope I'm back. Okay, thank you. Okay, this was from Lisa, sent me this poem. Anyway, just finding the joys in the little things in life. I've shared over and over, so if you watch my videos, you already know that I make a real effort to do that, to look at the small little things like this wonderful warm wood stove that I'm sitting by, how cozy it is, and Seeing the little cabbage plant poke up out of the earth, how wonderful that is, that it's already reaching up to do its duty, do what it's supposed to do, all those sorts of things. So Lisa sent me this poem several months ago, and I've just had it just kind of been rotating in my mind, thinking about it. But it's really beautiful. I have found such joy, and the author is Grace Noel Crowell. It's just beautiful. So this is it. I have found such joy in simple things: a plain, clean room, a nut brown loaf of bread, a cup of milk, a kettle as it sings, the shelter of a roof above my head, and in a leaf laced square along the floor where yellow sunlight glimmers through a door. I have found such joy in things that fill my quiet days: a curtain's blowing grace, a potted plant upon my window sill, a rose fresh cut and placed within a vase, a table cleared, a lamp beside a chair, and books I long have loved beside me there. Oh, I have found such joys, I wish I might tell every woman who goes seeking far for some elusive, feverish delight, that very close to home the great joys are, the elemental things, old as the race, yet never through the ages commonplace. Isn't that great? Isn't that just great thinking about it? I don't know if you're like me, especially when you're a kid, but I've noticed things like this, maybe like the curtain blowing in the breeze, the sunshine making a pattern on the floor in the summertime, shining in the door. I can remember it shining in the screen door, making a little pattern. So all those, of course, a fresh loaf of bread, Matt made bread for our get together over the weekend. It was so delicious. It was so good. And there's just something so comforting and, I don't know, just joyful about a fresh loaf of bread. So all of those are just the little things, but very well put. So I'm so thankful Grace Noel Crowell wrote it. I have found such joy, and so thankful Lisa sent it to me. So really, really touching. I really love it. Okay, now let's share some of the wisdom. Let's see. I had one that Melanie had sent me. Let's see if I can find it first. Y'all did outstanding leaving wisdom last week. Thank you so much, and I hope you continue to do that. Melanie says, let's see. I read 2 pieces of wisdom I'd like to share with you. Fear doesn't stop death, it stops life. That's one of those that's really deep when you think about it. We don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. Now, that one is really one that would, to quote Quay Smathers, make you go down the road talking to yourself. We don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. So often that's what we do. Melanie says, I feel like they're both good reminders about the importance of our attitudes and perspectives. So true. Thank you. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you so much. And this one was from my friend M, too. My mom used to say, if you don't hear it with your own ears or see it with your own eyes, don't invent it with your small mind or share it with your big mouth. So that one's kind of a humorous one, but still really, really deep and true and good advice for how we should do. So let's see if I can find the others. This one was from Autumn. Autumn says, people's perception of you may have more to do with their own reality than yours. No one knows you better than you know yourself, so you shouldn't let the opinions of others define who you are. Appreciate the words of wisdom, as we can always learn something new from someone else's life experiences. Thank you, Autumn, for sharing that, and glad you enjoy this part of the video. This one is from Birdwalker. I have another wisdom laden quote from a Western. On a radio presentation of Gunsmoke, Chester said, a man sure don't live long after he's dead. Marshall Dillon replied, well, I guess that depends on how he lived his life. Now that one is really powerful. That one is too. A good reminder that we should all do what we're supposed to do and leave a legacy, leave an influence. This one was from Livy. Be kind because you don't know what battles people are fighting. I've heard this my whole life, but I was reminded this weekend in a terrible way. I had volunteered to work overtime, but got so upset with one of my supervisors that I almost quit my job on the spot. Instead, I logged off since I couldn't access the one program I truly needed to work. I lay back down at, let's see, I've lost my play. I have to do them in different little screenshots. Let me find the right one. I lay back down to catch up on some much needed rest. I got up at 4 to match our other team in another time zone and immediately went right to sleep. My son tried to wake me at around 10 to make his favorite French toast, and I snapped at him. I'm not proud of it, and as soon as I was fully awake, I apologized. It also brings to mind hurt people hurt people. Hopefully it helps someone. That does help, and those are so true. We don't ever know what someone else is going through, and I try to remind myself of that when something rubs me the wrong way or somebody does. I think, well, I don't really know what they're dealing with in their life. And that last part, Livy shared, hurt people hurt people. That's true, and it's so unfortunate and so sad, but sometimes we get so hurt by something that then we want to hurt others. We don't even realize we're doing it. It's not a conscious thing. It's just like you just got those feelings pent up in you. Of course, I would say the good Lord is the person that can handle all those feelings and all those hurts and work them all out for you. David Hensley said, when hearing unimportant complaints, a friend used to sarcastically say, build yourself a bridge and get over it. When you really think about it, that's good advice. Find or make a good way to solve the problem, solve it, and go forward in life. I've heard people, thank you, David, for sharing that one. I've heard people say that too, like, we'll just build a bridge and get over it. But David's right. Really, that is what we need to do. We need to figure out a way to go forward. This was from Cat T7D. Those who believe it is permissible to tell white lies soon go colorblind. That one's really deep too. Sent for healing to those who are suffering. That one's really, really true. Really good, and a reminder for us to always try to be honest, to be truthful. Rebecca said, the old gloves of Matt's that you use remind me of something. It's not wisdom, but something I remember my grandmother would say. I guess whenever she or someone would say their hands were cold, she'd say, cold hands, warm heart, you and your love will never part. I always say that when people say the first part, and most have never heard the second part. And it reminds me of sitting on the porch swing with my grandmother. Wonderful memories of that. And I've heard that old saying too. That's a good one. Thank you for sharing that one. This is from, I think, Yvonne, Yvonne. Tipper, I wanted to let you know how much I enjoy your videos. Oh, thank you so much for that. I have a wisdom quote that hangs in my kitchen. I've heard many of the kindness wisdoms, and this is another one. Kindness is a gift we can all afford to give. It costs nothing, and the gift is priceless. That is wonderful. Kindness is a gift we can all afford to give. It costs you nothing, and the gift is priceless. That's so true. That goes back to never knowing what people may be going through. So your kindness may be all the difference in the world to them, may be what they needed. Thank you, Yvonne, for that one. Wendy says, my grandpa always taught us children to try to meet people where they are in life. You never know how hard they work to get there. It has stayed with me for over 50 years. I've lived by those values and never regretted it. That is really good, that we do need to meet people where they are. We can't expect them to already be perfect, which we know no one in this life is perfect. We can't get hung up on that. Stacy says, anything worth doing is worth doing well. My husband has always said this since we met 26 years ago. That's a good one too. A good way to encourage yourself to do it right the first time. Aunt Bigby, I think that's how you say that. Words of wisdom. I'd rather hear 1,000 ugly truths than to hear one pretty lie. Always tell the truth. That's a good one about telling the truth. I've never heard that one. I like that a lot. This one is from Sherry. My grandmother used to say, if you only make room at your table for friends, how are you going to meet anyone new? I didn't understand all of the meanings of this until I was older. That's a really wise one too, really one that you think about a lot. Thank you. I don't know if it's Sherry or Cherry. It's Cheri. Thank you very much for that. This is from Pink Prudy. Words of wisdom: know the difference between those that stay to feed the soil and those who come to grab the fruit. That's really a deep one too, really wise. This one is from Tony. Always end your day with a positive thought and a grateful heart. That's good words to live by. If you can always look on the positive and grateful, I would say grateful goes right with being positive. They're connected. That's great, Tony. Thank you. Charlotte says, words of wisdom that I've heard recently, and is so true. If God leads you to it, he will lead you through it. Those are words as a believer to really hold on to. Lots of times we think we can't get through something, but we need to remember that. If it's, yes, we can. This is Denisha Ware. I've heard this too. If it smells like a skunk, looks like a skunk, it is probably a skunk. Don't make things out to be what they aren't. You might get sprayed. I really like that one. Miss Cindy would have loved that one, Denisha. That's great. I've heard Corey say this often. It really helped me. Analysis brings paralysis. Corey says that analysis brings paralysis. And I think Corey would say she's prone to do that, like to analyze something to the point that then she don't even know what she's supposed to do. That's probably where Denisha's heard her say that. This is from Mrs. Steve. I heard on the farming pastor's wife, make your burdens your blessings. That's a really good one too. The farming pastor's wife is a really good channel too. If you've never visited it, you should. Make your burdens your blessings. That's really great. Thank you, Mrs. Steve. Refrigerator blessings. We easily forget what has been always provided. That's a good one too. We take advantage of so many different things. We just don't even think about it. We just accept them, and instead of focusing on the wonder of them, of how thankful we should be. Ruthie says, many years ago, I'm 83, after trying to talk my younger sibling into doing a chore I didn't want to do, my dad admonished me to never expect someone else to do something for you you can do yourself. That memory has never left. That's a good memory, Ruthie. Thank you for sharing that. That's a good one. And it's a rewarding way to lead your life too, I would say, when you can do things for yourself. So thank you for that. Joe Fields said, two of my favorites are, if God brings you to it, he will see you through it. Another one is, before you go to bed, give your troubles to God. He will be up all night anyway. I like that one. He will be up all night anyway. Those are really great, Joe. Thank you for those. Really encouragement. I had two prayer requests that's in these two, so I didn't mention them before, but I'll mention them now. This one is from Lisa. Lisa says, please keep Ron from Swannanoa in your prayers. His home is gone, living by himself in a leased 20-foot camper by himself, battling bladder cancer for the second time. We just sent him a winter coat and socks and a card every week to keep his faith strong. He is currently going through chemo again, 5 done, 7 more rounds to go. Pray for his strength and recovery if you can. We have never met him, connected with him through Samaritan's Purse. God bless everyone here. Lisa, thank you so much for telling us about Ron, and please, everyone, continue. Just keep Ron in your prayers. That's one of the things I was saying about being sick, but a lot of those people that have been displaced, and you're facing trying to deal with the insurance and trying to do the permits and get the building back and do all that. Then also a lot of them have, they're sick themselves, or maybe they're caring for a sick person. So thank you, Lisa. And let's all remember Ron. This one cut it off, but it's BET, and then there was more of it, so I couldn't see the rest. But it says, Daddy was in the Navy, so we moved every 2 years. Grandma made Mama a framed cross stitch. It said, count your blessings every day, whether home or far away. That's a really good one, especially for people who have to travel like that. This one was from FOMO 6789. There are some common words of wisdom. Whoops, my phone's going crazy. There's some common words of wisdom I used for myself this week that I wanted to share. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I was thinking on it in relation to a conversation with my teenage daughter, but it reminds me also of when you said once that the truth just has to be enough. They are related in my mind. We can't always make people recognize the truth, even when we bring them to the edge of the water. They have to figure it out for themselves. Peace to you and yours. That's really good. Thank you for sharing those. And I've not thought about it like that, but you're right. They are connected. Now I'm going to think of them like that too. This was from CEPHALOPODX75. The person who plants a garden plants hope. I really love that as a gardener. This is from Teresa. He who plants a seed beneath the sod in hopes to gather has faith in God. I've heard that one. Y'all have shared that one with me before. I love that. Beautiful. This is from Rita. This was just an interesting one, but I'll read it to you. I was thinking, no, this is not wisdom, but I just loved it. My mother would say, when you start hearing the jar flies, summer is half over. I'm always going to try to remember that, Rita. Thank you so much. I love jar flies. They're the soundtrack to every summer I've ever had here in the mountains of Appalachia. But now I'm gonna listen for the first jar fly and then know. And I believe it already because I think about when I hear them, and it's true, Rita. Summer's half over. So thank you so much for that. This was the other one that prayer request I wanted to ask you to pray for. A longtime subscriber and viewer, BK Wood Adventures. I hate asking this on your video, which you don't. Please always ask prayer requests. But could you and your viewers please pray for me? I am on a monthly infusion for rheumatoid arthritis. I've been on infusions since 2009. I have been on this specific medication since 2015. Now my insurance company has decided not to pay for it. I was supposed to have an infusion January 13th. They called and said, I'm sorry, they won't pay for it. I'm suffering terribly. I will be calling the doctor first thing in the morning. The doctor told me I had basically exhausted all of my options because of my allergies or whatnot. I can't take anti-inflammatories. Oh, how I wish I could just take an ibuprofen to make everything better, but it's not to be. Thank you for any prayers. May God bless you. They ask, what is your pain level? 1 to 10. It's a 20. It's horrible. I'm so sorry you're having to go through that, and we will all pray that your insurance company pays or that the doctor finds a different way to help you. We're so sorry. I know everyone is, and we'll continue to pray for you. It's just really, really sad, and I'm sorry. I can't imagine. I've been very blessed that I've not had pain like that in my life, so I just can't imagine what you're going through, and I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Thank you all for sharing that wonderful wisdom. I hope you'll continue to leave them. And thank you all for praying for each other and the prayer request in the comments. I pray for all of them, and I know that each of you do. Thank you so much for that. Prayer is our greatest weapon. And then we've read, in the last few weeks, I've shared success. I won't even say success, answered prayers, praise reports from God where people's prayers have been answered. And so thank you so much for that. And please continue to pray for one another. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Hope you have a great week ahead. And I hope you'll be joining us in our videos this week. I'll be sharing one about our whole month of January, kind of doing that. It's one of my goals this year. Those day in the life ones are the hardest videos to do. But I thought if we could just do one a month, just thinking of it as a month, encapsulating then maybe that would help. So we're going to try. We've managed to do one at least in January. So I'll be sharing that, sharing a video about some good hamburger gravy, and I'm not sure what else. Be something though. But thank you for supporting us the way you do. We couldn't live this beautiful life that I live without you. So we're so thankful for you, each of you. We're so thankful. Continue to remember Granny and Lucky's family. I'll ask you that, and thank you for that, and thank you for all you do for us. And I'll be praying for you, and I love you all. Bye-bye.